Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today I'm going to be going over all of my inventory. I have it right here. It's all over the place in terms of categories. I kind of just wrote them on and off. I kept forgetting to do it when I was taking my pictures. So I want to go over what I have starting from January 1st, what my goals are in finishing items usage by the end of the year, and then how many I would like to have as my long-term goal when maybe like 3 years from now, 4 years from now, whatever it is, and have a better idea of what I would like to continue to have minimal wise. So I'm just gonna go down the list. Don't mind my dogs, they're sleeping. Okay, so starting with shampoo and conditioner, I have 6 of each. My goal is to use up 2 of each category, and then my long-term goal is to only have 1 on hand. That's gonna be hard because I like trying different ones, but my goal is to only have 1 on hand because I'm using Function of Beauty and it's something that I like to use. So we'll see how that works out. Leave-in conditioner, I have 5. My goal is to use 2 because I have one that's protein free and one that has protein. So my goal is to use, 1 of each. And then my long-term goal is to have 1 or 2. And I say 1 or 2 because I'm not sure, since I'm still kind of learning for the Curly Girl method, I'm not sure what works for my hair, and I kind of want to always have, at least right now, have an option of a product that has protein and one that doesn't. That way I can mix and match things to what my hair needs or what I think my hair needs. So that's why for now it's 2. And then for treatments like Olaplex or protein treatments or regular hair masks, right now I have 3. My goal is to use up 1. And then my long-term goal, I put 2. I'm guessing because Olaplex is a bonding treatment, and then like deep conditioning masks work differently, so I was probably thinking 1 of each. And then hair oils, I have 1. My goal is to use it and have 0. And yeah, because I bought it when I was first starting the Curly Girl method and didn't really work out for me, so I'm going to use it as a hot oil mask or a hot oil treatment every once in a while, and then once it's done, I'm not going to buy it anymore. Curl refreshers, so those are sprays instead of water. I have 5. My goal is to use 2, and then my long-term goal is to have 1 or 2. But now that I'm thinking about it, I think I'm going to end up making that goal of long-term only having 1. So I'm going to fix that right now because water works just as fine. Since I bought that Mr. bottle in January, and I've been using that sometimes instead of my refresher spray, and it works just fine. I don't have to have an extra product in my routine for my hair to look fine. So I'm going to put long-term goal of 1 or 0 and see what happens. For hair foams and mousses, I have 5 right now. My goal is to use up 2, and then my long-term goal is to have 2, and that's because I want 1 with protein and 1 without. For gels, I have 7. My goal is to use up 1, and then my long-term goal is to have 1 or 2. Same thing, 1 with protein and 1 without. And then curl enhancing products like curl creams, I have 4. My goal is to use 1, and then my long-term goal is to have 1. And I put 1 because curl creams tend to be a little heavy for my hair. So if I can find 1 that I like, then I'm just going to keep that, or it'll be 0. But hopefully I can find 1. I'd like to find 1 of every category, just so I can mix and match and not be bored of what I'm using. For body lotions and oils, I have 2, and my goal is to use up 1, and then my long-term goal is to only have 1. And that's pretty much for the lotion, because the body oil is this one right here. This is in a Project Pan, and I still have this stuff right here since I'm pre-recording this. So my goal is to only use body lotions, and I know just the one I want once I finish the 2 that I have. And then bubble baths, bubble bath stuff, I guess. I have one. My goal is to use one, and then long-term goal is to have one. That's one category that I'm rocking at, because I don't use bubble bath stuff a lot, and then when I do have one, I only seem to have one. But now that I think about it, when my remodel is done, I'm gonna have a really nice big tub. So bath stuff, I might change that category because I want to try bath bombs and bath salts and stuff like that. So as long as I only have one of each, then I'm okay with that. So we'll see where that goes with the remodel. That might be a fun purchase later on. Shower gels, one, goal is to use it, and goal is to only have one. Shower gels, I don't use a lot. I grew up using bars of soap, so when I buy myself a shower gel, it's more of like a treat. I have one that I bought at the end of December in 2020, and I haven't even opened it yet. I'm trying to put it in a project, I guess. It's a Scentsy one, and it smells really, really good, but I've had it for like 2 months, and it's still perfectly sealed, and I haven't even used it. So I need to put that in a project. Hair coloring stuff, I have 2. My goal is to use up 2 and to potentially have 0. I left it blank in my notebook because I'm not 100% sure. Every time I try to dye my hair myself, it never comes out the purple I want. It always ends up like this pinky burgundy. So one of my goals that I mentioned in my low buy, no buy introduction was to get my hair professionally cut, colored, and dyed. And one of the things I want them to do, I'm waiting for my hair to get down to here, so it's going to be, I mean, straight, it's that long, but I'm waiting for it to get a little longer. I want them to bleach it so that when I use like Overtone or Arctic Fox or something, it's the shade of purple that I want, because the bleaches, I never bleach it enough. I'm always afraid to do that myself. So it's blank because I might do it 1 or 2 more times after this is, you know, grown out and stuff, and then I might just stop coloring my hair. I go through phases where I'll do it for like 2-3 years, and then I'll stop for a while, and then I'll do it again. So it's blank because it doesn't matter either way which one it goes. I don't buy crazy amounts of like hair color. I have 2 because I mix them, so I'm okay with where this one is at. For colored liners, I have 2, and I left my end of the year goal as a question mark and my long-term goal as a question mark, because I might not use anymore after I finish those 2. I've used a couple of colored liners last year. What I think I want to do is buy the Suva liners, the ones that are water activated, and buy a white one, and then I can use any colored eyeshadow on top. That way I don't have to buy purple, green, whatever color colored liners, and I just have the one white one so that I can use any other shadow on top. So that's why I left it blank, but I'll put it as 0 for my long-term goal. And I might not finish any this year because they're brand new. They're still packed away. We'll see if I get them out. I would want to finish both of them. So we'll see where that goes. For regular black liners, I have 6. My goal is to use 2. And then my long-term goal is to have 2, because I want 1 black liquid liner and 1 black pencil liner. That way I can do the tight line. And I don't have any brown eyeliners right now, but I've been thinking about maybe buying one instead of black to see the kind of look that it gives me. Instead of the dark black, maybe a brown would look more natural. You know, I'm not sure. I've been thinking about that. So we'll see. If I add brown, then it would be the same thing, to have max 1 liquid and 1 pencil. Cream foundations, I have 2, and it's in a face palette. So I do not have a long-term goal or a year goal for using it, because if I use the whole palette, I might rebuy it. I really do like it. It's the Whoosh Beauty. I'll try to put a picture up. So there's no, I know some of these I just didn't know what to put because they're in palettes, or I'm not sure if it's something I wanted to keep in my routine. So sorry for some of these not being very specific. Color correctors, I have 6, and that's because 4 of them are in a palette. My goal is to use up 1, and my long-term goal is to have 2, because I like using peach correctors and green ones. So instead of buying palettes, I'd like to end up with just singles so that I can only buy the colors that I need. Foundations, I have 6. My goal is to use up 1, which at this rate, it might take over a year to finish my foundation. And my long-term goal is to have 1. I'm not the type of person that needs a winter shade or a summer shade. I live in Washington. I work from home, so I'm never outside. So I just need 1. And then if I need to mix, if I need to change the color, then I'll buy like mixing drops to lighten or darken it. And I'm okay with that. Concealers, I have 6. My goal is to use up 1. And my long-term goal is to have 2 because I like having a lighter shade under my eyes and I like to have a skin matching one for blemishes. So that's why I want 2. Setting powders, 13. Yeah, I have 13. My end of the year goal is to finish 2, and then my long-term goal is to have 2, 1 on hand and 1 as a backup. Banana powders, I have 5, and I put banana powders as different from setting powders because banana powders I put only under my eyes to brighten. So I have 5 on hand. My goal is to use up 1, and my long-term goal is to have 1 or 2, 1 on hand and 1 for backup. Powdered foundations, I have 4. 1 might be done in the next month or so because I used it on and off. My end of the year goal is to finish 1, and my long-term goal is to have 2. 1 that I'm using and 1 for backup. That's going to be my trend for most of the categories that I know where I want to be, is to always have 1 on hand and 1 that I'm currently using. For blush, I have 21. And the reason this is so high is because of palettes. I have like 5 or 6 multitasking palettes, and then I have singles on top of that. So my goal is to use up 1. I know how hard it is to use blushes. And then my long-term goal is to have 5. And I just guessed a number. I could probably go with 2 or 3, but 5 for now just because my numbers are so high and I'm still kind of playing around with colors that I like. But that way I have options, especially if I reach my long-term goal. I'm not going to have that many things except for a couple of categories, and that way I have some options if I'm bored. Highlight is 16. Again, because of multitasking palettes, my goal is to use up 1, and that's probably going to be my Super Shock for my Partners in Cream from ColourPop. And then my long-term goal is to have 2. I'm not a big highlighter fan anymore like I was a couple years ago. And if I do use it, I always put it in my inner corner and sometimes on my brow bone and stuff, and then I can just use eyeshadow for that. So right now my goal is 2, but I would be okay with 1. But for now 2, just to see. I've been using the same one for so long that I want to play around with all the other ones to kind of see what colors I'd like, and that's why I have the end goal of 2, because different colors. Bronzers, I have 26. That's another really high one. And my goal is to use up 1 because I know those take a long time to finish. And my long-term goal is 5. I think I just did that the same as the blush because I have such high numbers of those. I'll leave it like that for now, but ultimate long-term goal would probably be 2 for that, just because some of them take so long to finish. I've been using the one in my Partners in Cream palette that I've been using for my contour. The other side, it's the Naked Skin palette. The other side has a bronzer, and I barely have a dent in that, and I've been using that for over a year. So yeah, that number should probably change, but we'll leave it for now because that's what I originally put. Contour, I have 7. My goal is to use up 1. Long-term goal is to have 2, 1 on hand and 1 for backup. Brow products, I have 19. My goal is to use up 5, and that's only because I can go through pencils pretty quickly, but I've been trying to finish a different one that's pomade, and so that's probably going to lower my numbers if I'm not on and off using pencils. But long-term goal, I don't have one because there's always a reason. So I have 8 of the same brand because they were $1 each. So I left this blank because my idea was if I really liked that one, they're $1. I can buy 20 of them, pay 20 bucks, and I can just have a back stock and I would be okay for this because they don't take up that much space and it's the same color. You know, as soon as I'm done, I open another one type of thing. If I don't do that, my goal would be to have 2 or 3 on hand. So I'm going to put that for now, 2 to 3 on hand, just because I can go through them pretty quickly if they're pencils. Brow wax products, I have 3 on hand. My goal is to use up 1, and my long-term goal is to have 2, 1 on hand and 1 I'm currently using. And that's only because I have lots of brow powder products, and I can use eyeshadows as for my brows and stuff like that. So if that's not a product long-term that I end up just keeping as a routine, then I just will take it out of the category. But for now, because I have tons of that stuff, we're going to leave it as 2. And then I have brow gels. My plan is to use up 1, and my long term is to have 2, and that's because I want to try a clear one and a tinted one. And then maybe from there I'll decide what I like. But I would be okay with always having 2, 1 colored and 1 clear, because I can mix and match, you know, depending on the look I'm going for. This one's a hard one. Lipsticks. I don't use bullet lipsticks. These are all liquid. I total have 31 as of January 1st. If you've seen in past videos, I did declutter 5, but these numbers are reflecting anything before declutters. So 31, 22 were open and 9 were not. My goal is to use up 2. My long-term goal, 10 lipsticks. Let me know if that's too, like, what's a good amount? This is one I put a question mark, because I was like, I like having like 3 or 4 different nudes options. I like having a red, but there's different shades of red or different undertones of red. And then I like having a dark plum, mainly because my husband likes that colored lipstick on me. So I put 10. I wasn't sure. That number can definitely, change later. Mascara, I have 5. My goal for the end of the year is to use 4, and then my long-term goal is to have 3, just because you have to rotate through that. That's like one product that I do switch out fairly frequently, and the reason I want to use 4 this year is because most of them that I have right now are minis, and I like trying stuff, so I'm okay with having 3 minis on hand all the time, because you can go through those pretty frequently. And I think that's why I put long term as 3, because it's really hard for me to find a mascara that I like. If it's a full size and I enjoy them, then it would be the same as my other rule, where 1 on hand and 1 I'm currently using. But I think that's why I put 3. For lip scrubs, I have 2. My goal is to use up 1, and my long-term goal is to have 2. So this is a category I'm doing great in, because it's 1 on hand and 1 in backup. I don't go crazy in those. I get the e.l.f. one because it's easy to use. You don't get it all over yourself. I love that. For lipstick removers, now I have this category because my favorite lipsticks, which are the Maybelline Superstay and the Maybelline 24 Hour, those do not budge. Even when I use double cleanse like this, or the one I'm currently using, I can't think of the name right now, it does not get my lipstick 100% off. I have to use something on top of that. And so I use special products that are labeled to remove liquid lipsticks. And so I have 4 of those. My goal is to use up 1, and then my long-term goal is to have 2. 1 that I'm currently using and 1 for backup. Palettes, eyeshadow palettes, 37. I have 37 eyeshadow palettes. Okay, I do not have an end of year goal. And long-term goal, I put 20 with the question mark. I have no idea, because there's warm tones, there's cool tones, there's mattes, there's shimmers, there's neutrals, there's colored. Like, I couldn't think of a good one. So 20 question marks. So maybe when I get to 20 eyeshadow palettes, I'll reassess this and see what's a good number. But at least 20 is less than 37. That's a goal for now. And then I don't know, I doubt I can finish a palette unless it's a small one this year. So that's why I left that blank. Eyeshadow primers and bases, I have 9. My goal is to use up 1, which is the one in my Partners in Cream project, and my long-term goal is to have 2, 1 on hand and 1 for backup. And that's probably going to be my NYX glitter glue, unless I try one that's been on my list, a NARS eye primer. because a lot of these are bases like the MAC Paint Pot that I'm panning, or they're concealer pots from Coastal Scents, and I've learned now that I don't like bases. I like having a tacky base, which is why I like the NYX glitter glue. Even though it's labeled for glitter shadows, I use it for everything and I love it. So that would be the one for my long-term goal, unless I find something else that I like. Sorry, I was just checking to make sure my mic was on. Oh, that would have been so bad if it wasn't. Okay, eyeshadow singles, because I got into buying singles so I can mix and match and make my own palettes. I have 264. Yes, I did declutter some, but my numbers don't reflect that until the end of the year. So 264 singles. My goal was to use up 9. I just threw in a number to try and reach. I have 3 or 4 right now that have good pans, so maybe 9 isn't that bad. Long-term goal, I put 200, which means I'd only get rid of 64. That doesn't sound very good. Let's change that. Let's do, I did put a question mark. There's just so many colors, and I kind of want to have like my ride or die palettes and then singles to mix and match with them. So I'm gonna put 150 singles. That way I'm still getting rid of a good amount long term once I figure out the like my favorite colors. Oh, that still feels like a lot, but eyeshadows and lipsticks were the categories that I knew I was going to struggle with. Okay, now face cleansers. I have 7. My goal is to use 5, and my long-term goal is to have 4. Now the reason my numbers are so high on goals and long-term goals, or end of the year and long-term, is because I have quite a bit that are sample sizes, so I can go through those fairly quickly. And that's why my end of the year goal was to use 5. And then the reason my long-term goal is to have 4 is because I like having one just for the shower and one when I wash my face at night. And so I would have one for each and then one backup for each, which is why my my long-term goal is 4. Cleansing balms, I have 4 right now. My goal is to use all of them because I think I can go through that much in a year. And then once I find stuff that I like the best, my goal is to have 2, one current and one backup. But if I find a good sale or something like that, I'm okay with having 4 because I know I can go through those in a year. So certain things like that, I would be okay with having a nice stock if I, you know, situations like Black Friday or 21 Days of Beauty or whatever. Face exfoliants, I have 6. My goal is to use up 2, but now that I opened one, I haven't been exfoliating my face as much as I did last year, just because I'm doing better with my acne. So maybe my end of year goal should be just 1. But my long-term goal is also to have 2, one current in use and one backup. Can you hear Bear dreaming? So funny when he sleeps like that. Toners, I have 6. My goal is to use 4, and then my long-term goal, I put my long-term goal to have 4, and I think that was a mistake. Toners, yeah, I don't know why I would have had 4. Oh, I think I know why. So let's put the 4 back, because I use a different one in the morning than the one I use at night. The night one's always, it's like a glycolic treatment, and the one in the morning is usually like a micellar water or something gentle. So that's why it's 4. And then my use for the end of the year is 4 because I have some travel ones that'll be easy to go through. So that's why. Okay, so I put that back. Face masks, I have 9. I don't use sheet masks. It doesn't work for my oily skin. So these are all mud masks and stuff in tubes and stuff. I have 9. My goal is to use 3, which will only work if I open some of the travel ones, because I'm using a really big one right now, and that one's going to take all year. So I might have to open another one that's a travel just to get some usage and my inventory kind of to match my goals. So my goal is to use 3, and then my long-term goal is to have only 3. And that's just so I can mix and match for whatever my skin needs. Moisturizers, I have 6. Long-term goal is to have 4, and my end of the year goal is to use 4. And that's because a lot of these skincare stuff, I still have a lot left over from when I was using Ipsy, and so these are all travel sizes. Serums, I have 13, and that's because I bought a bunch when I was dealing with a lot of acne. So my goal is to use 7. That's what and I made this a long time, like a month ago, so that's why I'm surprised I put 7. I feel like that's a lot. My goal is to use up 7, and then my long-term goal is to have 8 on hand, and I put a question mark because I use different things in the morning than at night, and it's a question mark because it really just depends on the condition of my skin, and I have some in my inventory that I haven't used before, so if I can find like my favorites, then those would just be the only ones, and maybe that'll add up to 8. So I think that's why I put the question mark. I've still been playing around with things for my skin. Eye creams, I have 6. My goal is to have 4. Long-term goal is to have 4, and that's because I use a retinol one at night and a regular non-retinol in the morning, and so I'd have a backup and a current use one for each category. Pimple patches, I have 2 different ones. My goal is to use them all, which is very easy because I'm almost done with the second one, or I'm halfway done with the second pack. And then I did not put a long-term goal because I'm not 100% sure if they really work. Like, I did feel like it helped the one that I had here a couple days ago, but I want to have like a really bad breakout, I know that's bad, to really see if it helps. I have some in mind that I'm going to buy soon, and I think it's a big pack, so that'll last longer and give me an idea. But that's another item or another category that I'll just buy as I need, so I didn't really have goals for that. Blotting sheets, I have 1. My goal is to use up 1, and I'm okay with having 1 or none in my inventory because I don't use them as much as I used to, especially once I started actually doing better with my skincare. I don't need it as much. There's times that nail polish remover, I have 2. My goal is to use 2, and long-term goal is to have 1. And I put 2 to use at the end of the year because 1's almost done. And the rest I left blank with goals, so I'm just going to go over it really quickly because I can just write them down as I go. Acetone, I have 1. I don't think I'll be able to finish that this year, but long-term goal, to have 1. So there's no rush. I'm okay with that lasting, so I'll leave the end of the year goal blank, but my long-term goal, I wrote down 1. Nail polishes, I have 18, and they're all pretty much brand new, so I don't have any goals for that. I go on and off with actually doing my nails. I just put some on, some press-ons, and they did not last, so I got to do my nails again. So I don't know what I should put with that, but just for the video and I can see what I feel like at the end. Let's put to use up 3 nail polishes by the end of the year. That way I only have 15. And long-term goal, 10. I don't know what's a good amount for that. I'd like to have some natural looking colors, 1 or 2 glitter toppers, and then I love having purple. And I always have a black and I always have a red. Those are like the colors I go for. So 10 should be fine. I just went a little crazy because I tossed all my stuff out like a year and a half ago, and then I got back into nails during quarantine, and then I rebought a bunch. So top coat, and that's just more of a clear one. If it's a glitter one, I just put it in the nail polish category. So a clear top coat, I have 1. I probably will use 1, and then I'll just buy another one because that's another category I'm fine with. Cuticle oil, I have 1. I'd like to use it and then just not have any at the end, like as a long-term goal, because I don't feel like I really need it. I can just do a manicure without the oils. I bought some Essence, I believe is the brand, oil. They're called Dry Drops. They feel kind of an oil texture, but it's meant to dry your nail art faster. I use it on my entire nail and it works amazing. So I would always like to have 1 on hand, and I'm okay if that takes more than a year to finish, so there's no rush on those. I have 35 sets of press-on nails, and I think my long-term goal is to have only 1 or 2 on hand. Sorry, I keep losing my place. So how many should I use up? Let's see if I can use up 20 sets of nails. Yeah, because I was into it for a while, and then I'm so bad at using them. They always come out, they don't last long. They either last really, really long or they last 3 days. I don't know why, it's very inconsistent with me. So I want to try and use 20 this year and then only have 2 on hand. And I'll just buy as I need them if I feel like using press-ons. And then I have nail stickers. I have 9 different sets. I'd like to use them all and then just not use them. It's just too much work. I'd rather just do solid nail colors, something simple. And if I feel like buying some Halloween ones or Christmas ones, just buy the one that I want and then be done with it. But mostly 0. And that's it. I do have a sticky note of the nail colors that I have, but I have a category for them all together, and so I just went with that. Yeah, thanks. I hope you stuck around. I know that's going to be a long video for me to put together, since I'm going to try and have pictures up on the screen. But that's what I would like to do, is just kind of shift from buying and having 10 backups to having 1 backup and then the one that I'm using, with the exception of eyeshadow, lipstick, and then for now bronzer and blush. I'm sure if I find my favorite, then 1 bronzer is going to be enough, and then, you know, I don't mind having just 1 blush all year round. I don't see the need to have different shades for winter, fall, summer, and stuff like that. But for now I have 5 just to kind of mix around and see what I like. But that is it. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. What are your numbers like? If you have a video like this, let me know below and I will totally watch, because I love stuff like this, because it gives me the more videos I watch, it gives me an idea of what I think is realistic, what I would like, or what would actually work for me, because maybe I get to this goal and it changes, you know? So don't forget to subscribe and comment below, and you can definitely follow me on Instagram. It's the same name as on here, Amy Jo Penning and More, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!